Hi, this is Jack, and I'm here to speak about the creation of paranoia. Okay, now, first let's go to the extensive manifestation of paranoia. Paranoia can only exist in your mind consciousness system. If you're a mind consciousness system, paranoia is able to exist. Though in terms of who you are, not possible. Even the definition of sanity or insanity does not exist. Nothing exists of this world as who you really are. But let's carry on to paranoia. So paranoia exists. First, let me explain the mind consciousness system. The mind consciousness system is set in a specific programmed manifestation. It's compartmentalized, it's specific. Your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, the manifestation of other systems within you, the crystallization, the entire system works perfectly within and infused in your human physical body. It's a beautiful, perfectly placed system, and it works specifically according to how it must from when you're a child and you develop as you grow older, and with this mind consciousness system within you. Paranoia is what occurs when the mind consciousness system split literally completely in half within your human physical body, and that's usually a form of trauma that has occurred or that occurs in a being's life experience sometime or another. It could even be the smallest thing that happens that triggers paranoia. You see, human beings' systems are very specifically designed, yet they are very, let's say, trigger motioned. So if anything happens that this mind consciousness system does not expect, that is not programmed within it to be able to handle such a situation, paranoia stems from this. Usually schizophrenia as well, but I'm here speaking about paranoia. So the mind consciousness system within the human being, in the center of their being, split. As I've said, due to traumatic experience, that this mind consciousness system can't handle, that triggered it to split because it just didn't know what the fuck to do. So it splits because it doesn't have any other way how to handle or deal with a certain situation that it hasn't been programmed or specified to handle. And then the mind consciousness system goes haywire, literally. That's where paranoia comes from. When the mind consciousness system cannot discern between what is real and what is not real, and the being starts experiencing absolute, obscene, strange events, thoughts, fears, emotions, everything literally go haywire. Because the mind consciousness system has gone haywire because it isn't set anymore according to its manifested frequency of how it's supposed to be. And that fucks up the human being to a complete extent. So, though whenever someone says to you, oh, you're paranoid, it's never really you that's paranoid, it's probably the being telling you that's paranoid, not you. But paranoid is basically, I'd say, the definition of when your mind consciousness system is split in half and can't deal with anything of this world because it hasn't been programmed to deal with or handle anything of this world. And I will say one thing to you. Human beings that are programmed, that are paranoid, and actual extensive paranoia has been programmed to experience that, to create fear within human beings of paranoia, of course. And so in terms of all human beings in this world that actually experience the definition of paranoia in its most extensive extent, their lives have been programmed to do so. So in other words, they would have an event that takes place in their world, and then their mind consciousness system would basically split in half immediately, and then their mind consciousness system not able to discern between what is real and what is not real, what's going on, and the mind consciousness system actually looks like a, what can I say, like an animal of sorts, and just climb out and starts lodging itself into the human physical body completely, and then takes over because it hasn't a stability form anymore, and it's looking for stability in the human physical body somewhere, and it just goes haywire. So, there's much I'm able to say in terms of how everything is pre-programmed in this world to have human beings either fear something or not become something or not realize something. Because it's interesting, if paranoid people, if the human beings understood paranoia and just didn't give those people drugs and shit like that, they might have actually transcended their mind consciousness systems, because the thing is fucked. And if they had someone to understand mind consciousness systems, which of course no one in the world does at the moment, but now, if they allow themselves to hear what I have to say, they're able to be assisted, because their mind consciousness system is just messed up. All that they need to do is stand up within it, and it will definitely go, because it's just looking for a place to hold on to. It doesn't have a place to hold on to, so it creates these obscene fears and anxieties and thoughts and alternate existences and things like that to just stay alive. And then what assists the mind consciousness system when the split occurs, to stay alive, if you want to call it that, is the drugs that people feed such people. Because I don't know if I've said this before, so because drugs, what I mean by drugs is the medication you get from pharmaceutical companies and doctors and things like that, is that drugs assist mind consciousness systems inside human beings. So when human beings have paranoia and they're given drugs, goodbye to them again. Drugs basically probably put that whole thing back together again for them. The mind consciousness system that split inside them. See, it's strange sometimes, when you ask the question of why has these things never been seen or asked, or just everything accepted, taken for granted. How everything everything is just what it is. If you're sick, you're just sick. Or if your leg breaks, it's just your leg that breaks. Or if you're paranoid, you're just paranoid. It just happens, and you find reasons and excuses and causes and justification for why these things happen, because of only what you see. But I can tell you one thing, is that there exists a world beyond this one. And we'll probably do an interview on this as well. What is the difference between the real world and what is the real world? That's also the question. What is real? I mean, of course, many human beings ask that question in terms of what is real. But just a note, I would suggest not to take anything for granted that you experience in your world, because everything is specific. Okay, thank you very much. This is Jack.